quantity?
I don't think it's based on the quantity of tickets, but, okay, well, I think we know where you both stand on that one. Let's go on to the next question. There's been accusations that the appointment process to the Public Utilities Commission has become very politicized.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is great. I can't even finish the question. So, either one of you propose a different process for selecting members of the public. It used to be that you ran for that office many years ago. Then it got appointed. So we have politics on the one process and politicization on the other. What's your suggestions, if any, for making that process better? We'll start with Lisa.
Well, first of all, you know, politicization is hard to avoid. You know, you're going to have politics in one way or another. At this point in time, FP&L got all the power to control the commission. They basically single-handedly, you know, got the people who were against them removed from there. I think for you to serve that commission, you should be like a judge. You should have a minimum amount of training, minimum amount of qualifications, even before you could run for the office. You understand? Okay, let's make it elected, but let's make it elected like a judge. You gotta be a lawyer, you gotta have so many years of experience and whatever. Not that I'm a big fan of judges getting elected, you know. I think that's a different story. You know, again, what happened in Tallahassee this year is a real travesty. Some very good people that defended us got terminated because Gloria Power lied. You know, it wasn't happening what it was. By the way, you know, with that said, the guy that I defeated in the last election, he was an FPL lobbyist that put $210,000 in some money for the campaign. So, and I beat him.
Completely manipulated. It's really sad. When you finally have some pro-consumer people that are not, when I say pro-consumer, it's that they really read what the request is, and they don't just blanket whatever's requested. The politics of Tallahassee kicked in, and that's why it's important to have a senator that will look at these applications. So the process right now is the Senate recommends, confirms, and puts the top 3 choices, I believe, on the governor's desk for appointment. What happened this year is very clear. You have people like Paula Dockery and people like that that finally were brilliant women, very smart, very well educated.
Actually,
I'm so sorry. It's another, that's another one. Nancy Argenziano, excuse me. Very bright, very brilliant, very educated senator who read and understood her responsibility was to be a neutral party and not try to side with anyone. And what happened was, notice that this year there was a denial of a $1.2 billion rate increase by Florida Power and Light and some other companies. And of course, that brought the wrath of the rest of the senators that were against it to try to not only not reconsider them for reappointment, that's the politics that was played. But going right to the question, do I think it's better to appoint or elect? That's a good one. They both have their pros and cons. There's where I'm going to sound to you like, as you guys say, probably a politician, because I really don't know what's better, to be very honest with you. It might be even better to have a panel of people that are neither appointed or elected, and have them decide who it is that we appoint to this group, not affiliated with any of the utilities to possibly do it. Because getting elected, you get elected. It's like us. You know, I have an opponent where you're going to be opponents that are highly funded by special interest. And guess what? If you're running for the Public Service Commission, I guarantee you, you look at their campaign finance reports, they're going to get a lot of money from different utilities. And those that are for the consumer, they're not going to do very well. And on an appointment issue with the governor doing it, well, then again, you know, it depends who the governor is and what his ties are. The party can't win either way. I don't know. I guess if I had to decide as a senator, I would look towards a piece of legislation that would create an independent group of people, autonomous from us, to look at this and not affiliated with the utilities, and have them decide who the proper people are to appoint. I think that's the best way to get fairness on that to public service.
Okay. FP&L was mentioned. Soon there'll be a decision on placing above-ground power lines all along US 1. very controversial. The debate is whether they should, should be forced to put them underground and who should pay. Your thoughts on that? Just Julio started.
And if I may, and I hate to do this, but I've got to take this question. I have to run. I've got live radio show, campaign show at 9 o'clock on the button. So I apologize. I have some people here that are with me in the campaign. If you're interested, believe me, as you can tell, I'm very upfront. I'll tell you what I think, whether you agree or disagree, so you'll know who the candidates are. But let me go to that Florida Power
Why
Light.
don't we just do that both very quickly, and then we'll have a closing.
Okay, let me go to Florida Power Light. I have been fighting Florida Power Light for their undergrounding of cables for years, since I first got elected to the Florida House. And who do I think should be responsible? Well, believe it or not, at one time, when they told me about the cost, I figured, okay, well, I understand there's a cost, maybe the municipalities can share costs. But what happened, let me give you a little history. Remember that year when we had the multiple storms? They went in front of the Public Service Commission. They were allowed to recover their cost for any damages. That means we paid, look at our bills, we paid $1.25 for one storm, then they put it up in the air, it went crashing down, they did it again, put it up and crashing down, and we had to pay another $1.30. And we've been paying for them to keep doing it, what I say, incorrectly. What I wanted to do was get them to bury it, and I'm going to give you an example. If anybody has ever been out to Weston, Weston is an example of what we need. It's very expensive, but you know what they did? They buried the primaries, they buried the laterals, the transformers are above ground in place there's flooding, and that community doesn't lose their power unless they have a major flood and those transformers flood. So the way I see it is there should be, there are federal dollars, by the way, there's mitigation dollars through the feds to help offset the cost. I think there's 40% left of Miami-Dade County that needs to be buried. I would love to push for that because I'm tired of the power outages that we have here, and they have to cooperate. What I was able to do is during my tenure is at least I got them to finally pick up at least the first 25% of the cost, but they wouldn't go any further because of the expense of burying it. It is very expensive. And last but not least, they try to tell you, well, if you bury it, it's harder to troubleshoot. That's absolute nonsense. And that if it's underground, it can't be maintained. And that when there's flooding, they've got cables under there. They run under the ocean. Believe me, they can do this. This can be done. So we need to do this.
Luis, so then
I do agree with Julio. I do agree with Julio as far as on the grounding. We missed a golden opportunity back when Andrew hit us. We could have started from the ground up, but we didn't do it. And we didn't learn a lesson. You're going back to your old city, Miami Beach right now, if you go up Harding and Sheridan, you see this big, humongous concrete electrical poles, they're about that big, and they're sitting on people's yards. Guess what, folks? Those things come down in a hurricane. We have the technology, we can do it. We can do it that will last forever. Again, we can put a transoceanic cable. We can do it right here. So it's only a matter of having it done right the first time. They will save us more in the long run.
What I'd like to do, and I know Julio has to leave, so let him make a closing remark, and then you can stay a little longer. There's a few more questions.
Oh no, you got it.
Judicial candidates in there also.
Well, we recognize it.
Roy, you have to ask a lady out there. You want that cooks from me?
Let me be very brief. Again, I'm Julio Lamont, and I've been a mayor of the city of South Miami, commissioner, a state legislator for 8 years, and I pride myself in telling everyone that I represent people and not special interests. And like I said, I'm the type of person who votes my conscience. You've seen it. I've been supported some issues on one extreme, and then again, I've supported my teachers when the teachers had an issue, and I supported my teachers against what I thought that was bad public policy. But at the end of the day, you need people that are going to represent you. We may not agree on all issues. But one thing we should agree on is who represents you. And I never forget who put me in the office. And if you want to ever see that, take the time to go onto our website to look at our campaign finance reports. You'll see who gives money to who. and who these individuals are basically catering to. That said, I have a primary August 24th. It's a three-way Republican primary. If we went on August 24th, we don't have a general election in November, so we will be elected, God willing, August 24th. And I got to tell you that you really do need to have good representation, somebody who represents you and not special interests. And if you'd like more information about our campaign, Sean's back there, Lewis is back there, and I want to be your state senator. I would represent this area. I'll lead by telling you the districts. It's Miami, Coral Gables, South Landing, Pinecrest, Palmetto Bay, Cutler Bay, Allapattah, Linwood, Westchester. My goodness, it's a huge district. And again, my punch number is 49, and I thank you for the opportunity to be here. Really do appreciate it.
Julio, thank you very much. We have one question left from the floor, and Luis, I'll ask you about it. I am going to paraphrase it a little bit. We have the PTP program. That's a county-voted program for raising money for a variety of transportation-related projects. Recently, some cities who weren't around when it was voted on, Cutler Bay, and I think there's a couple of others, have tried to get a piece of that money. And there's a great debate going on as to whether that should come out of the existing city's money or the county's money. And I know this is a local issue, but somebody's interested in it. I just want to see if you have any observations from the state level.
Well, I'll be honest with you, again, this is a very local issue which I'm not very familiar with. Would be speculating on anything. I'll tell you one thing, I'm a firm believer of let's go, believe it or not. I kid around with Julio calls me a Republican and I call him a Democrat. Because they're both very sensitive type of people. As far as this question, I don't even touch it because I don't know.
Okay.
Right, again.
I'll go on to a couple other questions.
Okay.
And then we'll wrap up. Recently, the
lady
a couple questions, and then we'll take any other from the field. We like to do them in writing, but we'll finish.
Folks, I don't have to go far, so I can be here all night.
Julio,
I can't. I can't.
Luis,
Yes.
recently the Lexus lanes were opened on I-95 by FDOT, and it's a state program that a lot of money went into. I think it's a good idea, a bad idea. Would you change it in any way?
I think it's immoral. Basically, what you're doing, you are putting the half and the half-nots. You're talking about the express lanes, right?
Yes.
But first of all, I think it's immoral because we're all paying taxes to our license plates. They haven't provided any extra lanes for us. All they did was segregate a couple of lanes. And you know what? Going back to Miami Beach, do you realize if you live in Miami Beach, you cannot take those lanes? The only way you're gonna take those lanes, you gotta go out on MacArthur.
Right.
If you get up in the Georgia Tunnel, you don't have access to them. You have to get out and you gotta go to 10th Avenue and go back and then go to Allapattah and whatever. So I think that's immoral. I think that's illegal, to be honest with you. And I don't see. And on top of that, I think they're missing sign.
Okay. Any observations on how to improve the legislative process? Limit lobbyists? Should we give money to people to run so that wealthy versus not wealthy candidates are leveled? Should this redistricting be taken away from the legislature and given somewhere else? It's about to happen with the census. So just your observations on the.
I'll take the last one first. Talking about redistricting. I'm going to explain my district to you to see if it makes any sense at all. I got South Beach. On the ocean side, I come down from 33rd Street down south. If you go west of the creek, down to Day Boulevard, I got the very tip of Miami Beach, right? I got Fisher Island. I got none of the other islands.